All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through a series of Java programs using a simple payroll system, and so far I wrote our first payroll program where we hard-coded the values in. Then I went in and created two more examples, one that used the scanner class to read things in basically from the keyboard, and the next one, which used a show input dialog for our inputs and a show message dialog for our outputs. And now I'm going to go and do another one where we're going to come in now and we are going to add decision structures. In other words, we're going to add an if statement. Okay? Now I'm not going to run through any of this because we've run through if statements before and we'll go through this in class. All right? I don't believe there'll be any logical operators in this example. It's fairly simplistic. But remember, and just like with C#, this short circuits. So if I say if A and B, if A is false, there's no sense in checking B. If I say if A or B and A is true, there's no sense in checking B. And not is the inverter. All right, it takes something that was true and it makes it false. Takes something that was false and makes it true. All right. You always do your nots first, then your ands, then your ors, but you can use parentheses to change the order of precedence if you want to. So this is the order of precedence from basically most everything that we've gone through so far. All right. I'm not going to get into right now about comparing string objects, okay, except to tell you that the way that you compare string objects in this language is not the way that you do it in C#. In C# you can use a double equal sign. Here you've got to use the dot equals method. We'll talk about that at a later time. Scope, let's see. I don't think I'm going to have a switch in this example, but we can put in a system.out.printf. I wasn't going to do that, but we could. I'm going to use something a little bit different. So, all right, in the next chapter we'll put in loops and files. So I'm going to change this around a little bit from the way I was going to do it. All right, so what I'm going to do, to start with, first let's make sure I'm taping. I am. That's always a good sign. All right. I'm going to come in here and I've added a payroll number 3. In fact, while I'm at it, I'm just going to come in and quickly add a payroll number 4. That'll be for the next chapter. All right. But for now, I want to use this number 3. So I'm going to create a new project. You know the drill by now, Java. Next, no template, next. All right, project name, well, I'm just going to put this over here. So the name will be payroll number 3, and that's okay. All right, and it's in the payroll number 3 folder, which is good. Finish, again, you know all this by now. Come over to here, right mouse click on my source folder, new Java class, so you can see it all. edu.rankin.jpscott.payroll. All right. Pretty much what we have been doing. So nothing really new here. All right. And I saved the last program that we had done and put it in here someplace. There it is. All right, there it is. So I'm just going to grab all of it. That's just everything in main. So remember, when I want to create a main, I can say PSV and hit tab, but I don't want to do that right now because I've already got my main written. So paste that in. Now this looks exactly like the previous program, except notice that with the J option panes there, I don't have my import statement. Let's let the system find it for me this time. So I'm going to take my mouse, click on there, and do an Alt-Enter. And it says import class, yes. And it added javax.swing. And then it's actually more than I need. I don't really need the dot star. I can put it here, dot J option pane. All right. Star just would bring in stuff I really don't need. Let's add one more class in here. So I'm going to import java.text.decimal format. All right, so this will be for a decimal pattern. And this, as we did previously, will be for our show input dialog and our show message dialog. Okay? All right. So right now, this is the only thing that's new. You might notice too that that's light gray and this isn't, and it's telling me when I put my mouse over it, I've got that there, but I'm not using it. All right? So let's start by using this. Okay? I'm going to actually create two decimal patterns. I don't have to do it this way, but I am anyway. So I'm going to say here decimal format, and we'll call it pattern 1 for pat1 for pattern 1 equal, and I'm going to set that equal to new decimal format, and I want that one to not have a $sign in it. It'll have a $sign. Pound, 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 comma, pound, 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 comma, pound, 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 dot, pound. I want that to be 0.00. This should be in double quotes. That's why it's getting a little funky right now on me. All right. And I'm going to copy that whole line and just make two little changes. Change it from pattern 1 to pattern 2 and get rid of the $sign. So now I have two decimal patterns. The first one will allow me to have a value up to $999,999,999.99. If by some chance I have a value that's less than $1, it'll print 0 point. So these pound signs mean print the number if there is one, otherwise print nothing. This means if there is nothing, print 0, otherwise print the number. All right? And I was just thinking about this, in my head here, and what I am going to do is I am going to write this thing twice. All right? And there's actually, as always, there's a method to my madness. There may not seem like it right now. But first thing I want to do is outside of here, I want to create a couple constants. So private static final double max non-OT equal 40.0. Most number non-OT hours can work. So the most hours you can work without getting any overtime are 40. And let's make an OT rate. And we'll set that equal to 1.5. We'll just say their overtime rate. All right, now you'll notice I'm getting squigglies here. You can see them a little bit because I'm not using those values yet. All right. So what has changed between this program and the previous one? So far, two things. My import statement, because I did have that import statement previously. So my import statement, all right, so I can put in my decimal patterns. and my decimal pattern, so I guess 3 things, and my constants. All right, now I'm not going to change anything else here except when I get down to my calculation. Now I'm going to say if hours worked is less than or equal to max non-OT. What does that mean? Play computer. No overtime worked. So if that's the case, it's straight time. Okay? But otherwise, I've got to do a calculation here. And that calculation is, and there's many ways that I can do this, just so you know. All right? The first time I do it like this, I'm going to make it pretty ugly. So the gross pay is equal to, well, the first thing is I've got to figure out still my straight time. So my rate, max non-OT, so this is the 40 hours they work that they don't get overtime for, times hourly rate. All right, so that's the first thing. All right, so that's the straight time, plus whatever they worked, so they're, whatever hours they worked, minus the 40, times their hourly rate times that overtime rate. Now that may look a little funky for right now, so let's leave that up here and let's play computer. All right. So let's take 2 employees here. We'll call them Bob and Mary. So first we'll have Bob. Hours worked is going to be equal to 30. Hourly rate will also make equal to 30. Then we'll have Mary. And Mary's hours worked will be equal to 50, and Mary's hourly rate will also be equal to 50. All right, so look at Bob. Did the hours that he worked, were they less than or equal to 40? Yes, they are. So his gross pay is going to be his hours worked, which is 30, times his hourly rate, which is 30. So, gross pay equals, in fact, let's make it a little different just so we can tell what's what. So the gross pay is equal to 35, which is his hours worked, times 30, which is his hourly rate, which should be equal to $1,050. All right, so that's a straight time. All right, now let's look at Mary. Let me hit enter a few times here. All right, so Mary worked, are her hours worked less than or equal to 40? No. So her gross pay is going to be equal to 40 times her hourly rate. So her gross pay is equal to 40 times her hourly rate. And let's make this 55. All right, times her hourly rate, which is 50. So that right there, 40 times 50, that's this. So we'll take that and we'll put it in parentheses. And then we want to add to that the hours that she worked which were 50 minus 40. All right, so she worked 50 minus 40. We need two sets of parens here. And that shouldn't be a plus, that should be a times, I'm sorry. All right. Whoops. Gosh. All right. And that will be times her hourly rate, which is 50, times the overtime rate, which is 1.5. So again, keep playing computer. In other words, that whole thing is equal to what? 50 times 40 is 2,000 plus 50 minus 40 is equal to 10 times 50 times 1.5. In fact, this was wrong. 50 minus 40, 10 times. No, that's correct. This is not 10, that is 15. And that is 55. I'm sorry. Okay. So that's 2,000 plus 15 times 50. And let's just, and rather than me screwing up the math, 15 times 50, which should be 750, times 1.5. Which is 1125. All right. So that is equal to 2,000 plus 1125, which is equal to 3125. Now, had we not given overtime, all right, then it would have just been 55 times 50. And 55 times 50, I believe, is 2750. And if I come in there and subtract these two, that says to me that the extra pay, all right, that the extra pay that we got here was what? 250 and 125, $375. Again, if I did my math right. Let's run the program and we'll see if what I got was correct, my calculations were correct or not correct. All right, so File, we'll do a save all. In fact, what I'm going to do here too is I don't really need to print this one out anymore on the bottom. So I'm going to just take my comment that I've got at the bottom here and I'm going to put it right there. All right, there's nothing wrong with printing it out, but why print it out when I really don't have to? All right, one more thing that I want to do here is I want to format this stuff. All right, so my hours worked, I want to say let's see, pattern 1 had the $, pattern 2 did not. So this will be pattern 2 dot format gross pay. This will be pattern 2 dot format for the hourly rate. This will be pattern 2. Which one? Which would have the $? Pattern 2 did not have the $. So this is pattern 1, this is pattern 1, and this is pattern 2. dot format. All right. Okay. Now I don't need my $sign there anymore. So let's take a look and see what happened, and we'll go back and we'll look at this again. All right, now it says typo in Word. There are no typos in there. It's just that's the way I spelled it. So, File, Save All, Run payroll, because it's the first time I'm running this. All right, so we said the first one was Bob. So how about Robert J. Jones, 34, and is a union member, employee number 123. They worked 55 hours and they make $50 an hour. Notice it's $31.25. I know that's kind of hard to read. All right. And we had said that when we did this, we thought that he would make $31.25. All right. If I run it again, and this time put in Mary W. Wilson, who is 22, not a union member, worked, what did we say here for her? We said 35 and 30. So, I goofed up, so let me run it one more time. I guess if there is an advantage of leaving those in here, you can see everything. In fact, let me do that. It's not going to let me kill any of that, is it? Yeah, it's going to blow up. That's fine. I will uncomment this. So we'll put that comment back here. And I will get rid of the comment any comment I have at the bottom here. There. All right, just so you can see both of those. So File, Save All, Run Payroll. Like I said, it's kind of hard to read this. So again, Robert W. Smith, 34. Let's say they're both union people. True, employee number 234, 55 hours at $50 an hour, just so you can see it in there. So there's $31.25. All right, let's clear that out and run it again. So this will be Mary J. Johnson, 22, is a union member, 3, 4, 5. She worked 35 hours and makes $30 an hour. And you can see she did not get any overtime. All right. I'm going to stop it right here, but I'm going to go back in just a minute, and it'll probably, you know me, be a shorter lecture, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put each one of these into their own routine. Okay? So I will do that in just a couple moments.